Hi, my name is Brooke, and today I'm going to be talking about divorce. Now, although I have not been through one, my parents went through one, which is something that 40 to 50% of people will also go through in their lifetime. Now, divorce affects more people than you think. Usually, you may think it only affects the people who are getting the divorce, but when there are kids involved, they become one of the main people that's affected. Now, I talk from experience. My parents got divorced when I was 13 and a freshman in high school. I'm going to talk about how I learned to grow from it, and all the traumatic things that it had, all the traumatic effects it had on me. So many kids go through this and feel helpless, like I did. Personal stories are the best way to reach children that are going through the same thing. Now, when I think about the divorce, I think there were about three main stages that I went through. Anger was usually the first one. I was mad that they were getting a divorce. I couldn't understand why. And I think the second stage was the processing, trying to understand why, listening to everybody's point of view, seeing it's not my fault. Whose fault is it? Is it anybody's fault? Usually, it's nobody's fault. Sometimes there is people at fault. Now, my parents tried to put me in therapy, and that didn't work. Sometimes it helps people, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think the third stage is what really helps you, is acceptance, being able to adjust to your new life. It's one of the hardest things to do, but it's also one of the ones that got me through it. Now, one question children will always have is why? Why are my parents getting divorced? Is it my fault? Can I fix it? And in my case, the divorce was really messy. A lot of blame, no support from anybody, but I managed to make it through. In the first stage, anger, I began to pick sides. I wanted to live with my dad, and I wanted to be where he was. I didn't want to go anywhere else. Now, this is hard because being a freshman in high school, I had to start going from house to house every week, and it made things tough for me. For my second acceptance or processing, my processing was different from a lot of people. I cut everything off. I stopped talking to my parents. I stopped going to school. I was sent to counseling and I refused to talk to my counselor. And then I stopped talking to my parents who had forced me to go. But once I thought about it, it was really my friends who helped me get through it. I realized I wasn't alone. Other people my age were going through the same things that I was. And we were able to come together and realize there's nothing we can do about it, so we need to accept it. Now, when you begin to accept it, it becomes a lot easier to deal with. Being that I was so young, I had no option of where I wanted to live. The courts become terrifying. You never know what they're going to say. You never know what they're going to tell you to do. When you want to do something and being that young, you have no right to pick what you want. It's up to the court. Once I realized there was nothing I could do, I learned to live this way. I moved 40 minutes away from school, but I learned to deal with it. I realized my friends were there and I would always be able to get through it with them. Once you realize you have your own life and your parents are not getting divorced because of you, it makes things a lot easier to understand that things will still be happy and you'll still be able to get support from both of them. At first, it's hard to understand what is going on. Being angry at people for what is happening is something that is common. Talking to people helps, and accepting your new life is how you get through it. Talking to my friends is the only way I got through it. It's okay to be angry for your parents at what's going on, but don't hold it against them. They didn't want this just as much as you didn't, but it's a new life for everyone and not just you.